The current American population is 335 million as of 2023. All 335 million of these people are spread across the 50 states, but these 50 states do not get an equal share of the population. For example, California has 39 million people, while Wyoming only has 580,000. But we can go deeper. We don't have to just look at states. For example, this is the Northeast Megalopolis, one of the densest regions in the US. We're going to talk about three mega regions right now. The aforementioned Northeast Megalopolis, the Texas Triangle, and the Florida megaregion. Combined, all of these megaregions have a population of 90 million. This is under 5% of the land in the US, with 1 in 4 people. Now we're going to look away from urban corridors and towards general geographic trends. For example, these highlighted counties are all counties that either have a direct coastline or are heavily influenced by the coast. Combined, these counties have a population of 151.5 million people. This is mostly because the coastal regions take up a bigger part of the US, with 11 to 12% of the land area depending on the definition. And this just all goes to prove how relatively empty the middle of the country is. Speaking of the middle of the country, there's a line that I've drawn right through it. On the left of it is 20% of the US population, on the right is the other 80%. An interesting part about this is that California is the most populous state in the US, and it's in the side with 20%. And this is a perfect segue to another line we can draw on the 20% side. Now, on the left of this line is 13% of the population, including almost all of California's population, as well as most of Oregon and Washington's population. And on the right is only 7%. And that's really surprising, because this is 40% of the land in the US, excluding Alaska and Hawaii. Now let's go even deeper in that 7% area. I've highlighted 4 metro areas in the 7%. Being Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Denver. Combined, these have 4% of the US population, which is about 60% of the population in the 7% zone, which means everything else in the 7% zone just makes 3% of the population. And this is like 38% of the land. That's crazy. Now we're going to move away from geography and towards demographics or characteristics of Americans. So for starters, 80% of the US population lives in urban or suburban areas, with only 20% in rural areas. In the urban and suburban zone, the downtown cities are much more diverse than the suburbs, though this trend isn't as strong as it was a few years ago, or a few decades ago. Also, generally, the urban and suburban areas are much richer than the rural areas. In general, the urban area tends to be Democrat and the rural area tends to be Republican, with suburbs being a mix of the two. And if you're from Alaska or Hawaii, I have not forgot about you. You two, along with Nevada, have your own category for population distribution, as in you 3 states have the most compact populations of any state, with most of the people living in a very small portion of your land. This circle is where a majority of Alaska's population lives. This circle is where a majority of Hawaii's population lives. And this circle is where a majority of Nevada's population lives. On the opposite end of the spectrum is states where the population is pretty spread out. Now this one is a bit harder to define, but 4 ones I'd say are the most spread out would be Ohio, Arkansas, Montana, and Virginia. Now those are all the trends I want to talk about in this video. Please comment if you would like to highlight any more that I didn't include in this video. And I'd also invite you to subscribe as well as watch this other video.